everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new. Sorry I haven't posted in a couple of days. I just have not been motivated to film videos, and whenever I do feel like filming, it's usually like in the middle of the evening when I look really disheveled, like right now. So today I'm going to be filming my mid-year book freakout tag. I think that's the order in which those words go in. But I have done this tag every year, I think, for the past maybe 3 years. I'm not really sure, but here I am to do it again. So if I'm looking down at my phone, it's because that is where the questions are. So let's just jump in with the first question, which is best book you read in 2020 so far. And there are a couple of really good books that I read this year, but I would say the one that stood out the most to me was The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. This was my favorite book of this year so far for a couple of reasons. I think one, because it was just a super surprising read, because I don't usually reach for historical fiction, and when I do, it's not usually this kind of historical fiction. So I was really surprised with how much I enjoyed this book, and also it's just like a really touching story. So overall, this book just like really stands out to me as one of my favorites. Question 2 is best sequel you've read so far in 2020, and that would have to be In an Absent Dream by Seanan McGuire. I think this is the 4th book in the Wayward Children series, and this follows Lundy, who was a character that I actually didn't really like in the first book, but this is a prequel to that one, so it tells about her story when she was younger, and I just loved this so much, and I have a totally new respect for her character after learning about her story. So I thought that this was really well done and was definitely my favorite sequel I've read so far this year, but I also haven't really read a lot of sequels, so I had to work with what I had. Question 3 is new release you haven't read yet but really want to, and again I have a couple of answers for this question, but I would say the one I want to get to the most is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This is the prequel to The Hunger Games, which is one of my favorite series, so I really want to read this, but I kind of want to reread The Hunger Games first, but I also just reread a series and I'm not a big rereader, so it's taking me a really long time to finally get to this book, and so I'm thinking I'm just not going to reread the trilogy, and I'm just going to jump into this one because I just can't wait much longer. Question 4 is most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and again I have quite a few that I'm really looking forward to, but the one that probably stands out to me the most is Unbirthday by Liz Braswell. This is a part of the Twisted Tales series, which you guys know that I love, but this one is Alice in Wonderland, which Alice in Wonderland is just one of my favorite stories overall, but I also love this Disney film, so I am super excited to see what they do with this one. I think the twist for this one is something like, what if Wonderland was in peril and Alice was really late? So I'm very excited for this one. Next question is biggest disappointment, and that would have to be A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This isn't even one of my least favorite books that I've read so far this year, but it's just the most disappointing because I had such high hopes for it, and so many people seem to love it, but this book just did not live up to any of the expectations that I had for it, so it's very disappointing. Number 6 is biggest surprise, and again I'm gonna repeat an answer with The Book Thief because again I don't usually pick up historical fiction, and when I do it's not this kind, so I was very shocked that I really enjoyed this because I don't really like war stories at all. I don't like them in books, I don't like them in movies, I don't like World War stories, so how much I loved this book was very surprising to me, if I didn't already stress that enough. Question 7 is favorite new author, debut, or new to you, and for this one I don't really have an answer to the question because like I could say Marcus Zusak, but I've only read The Book Thief by him, so I wouldn't consider him to be a favorite author of mine because usually I like to read a couple of books before I declare somebody a favorite author, but I would have to say an author that I had read from a couple years ago and really enjoyed. I read 2 more of her books this year and I loved them also, so she has now made her way up to one of my favorite authors, and that is Jen Bennett. I read Alice Approximately by her a couple years ago, and then this year I read Serious Moonlight and Starry Eyes, and I loved those also, so she is one of my new favorite authors, even though I had read from her previously. Question 8 is newest fictional crush, and this is one I don't really have an answer for, and I don't think I had an answer for it last year either, because at this point I just don't really get fictional crushes because my memory with books is so bad, so usually it's just like whatever book I'm reading at the time, if it has a good love interest, I'm like into that guy, and then when I move on to the next book, I move on to the next guy. If I had to pick somebody for this though, I would probably say the character whose name I already forgot from The Night Circus, the like dude magician, I can't remember what his name was, Marco, that was his name. So yeah, I liked his character a lot while I was reading this, but I just forget characters so quickly that I don't really have a new fictional crush. And the same answer would kind of go for the next question, which is newest favorite character. Again, I just forget characters really quickly. When it comes to forgetting books, I would say the first thing that goes out of my memory is characters and their names. But again, I really enjoyed the whole cast of these characters in this book. I'm just gonna say all of the characters in this book for this question. Question 10 is a book that made you cry, and again, I don't have an answer for this question because I'm just not a crier when it comes to books, which is really strange because with movies, it takes very little to make me emotional. Like, I'm pretty sure I was the only person bawling my eyes out in the movie theater at the end of Mary Poppins Returns, and that wasn't even supposed to be like a sad ending, but I was hysterically crying. So I don't know why I don't have the same effect when it comes to books, but yeah, I haven't cried at all. Even The Book Thief, even though it made me, like, it was an emotional read and it really touched me, it didn't make me cry, so I have no answer for this question. Question 11 is a book that made you happy, and this I do actually have an answer for. I actually have 3 answers for this. The first one is Moment of Truth by Casey West. I love Casey West. Her books are just really light and fun, and they always make me happy. And then also Starry Eyes and Serious Moonlight. These ones also made me very happy, which is probably why she made it up there in my top author list. Question 12 is most beautiful book you bought this year or received, and I did not buy a lot of books this year because of everything that's going on in the world, but I would say one of the prettier ones that I bought was The Betrothed by Kira Cass. I know some people, including myself, don't like when there are like faces or people on covers, but when there's like a really pretty dress and it's just like, to me this is just kind of like a nice, not so much classy, but it's just like a nice cover. I'm okay with a face appearing on it, but also, and this is more so where I think this is like a really beautiful book, the end pages are just absolutely gorgeous. This is probably the prettiest book that I picked up this year, but also, again, I didn't really have a lot to choose from because I haven't bought a lot of books this year. And finally, question 13 is what books do you need to read before the end of the year? And I actually plan to do a whole video of this, of 20 books that I'd like to read before the end of 2020. I usually do this every year, and it's one of my most anticipated videos to make because I just really love making TBR videos, and that's like a grand TBR video. So you can look forward to seeing the rest of these books there, but for now I'm just going to mention one in this video, and I'm pretty sure this book has been the answer to any question like this for like 3 years, so I should probably finally get around to actually reading the book, and that is The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. Technically, I would really like to finish all of the Lord of the Rings, but I started this book probably over a month ago, and I'm only on page 54. And I don't know why, because I genuinely love this. Like, I loved The Hobbit, I love this story, I love these characters. The 54 pages that I read so far, I also loved, so why I'm not reading it, I don't know, but I have to get to this book this year. Like, I have to. So that is the mid-year book freakout tag. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, I'm sorry for my appearance and whatever the heck is happening to my hair, but do leave me a comment down below and let me know what book you would like to read before the end of 2020. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!
You hear that, Samson?